and thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee June and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia. And in this video today, we're going to be talking about the one thing that photographers should really stop doing to their images in 2023. Now, I'm not usually one for telling people what to do with their work and being really for something or really against something. I feel that photography is an art at the end of the day, and we should all be allowed to have creative freedom, creative expression, and really have that creative control over our own work. I'm not a huge believer in rules. I think that there's definitely a lot of merit to learning some of the rules of photography and then breaking them later, because I think that it's kind of cool to do that. But at the same time, there is one thing that I constantly see with work, and I have seen it for a long time, as long as I've been doing photography. But I think now more than ever, it is something that is kind of considered unacceptable if you're looking at getting into the realm of commercial photography or commercial fashion, beauty, portraiture, whatever it is. So I'm going to go through this one thing today with you guys, and hopefully if you do this one thing, we can go through a couple of different ways that you can avoid doing it in future. So the thing that I'm going to talk about today that photographers should stop doing with their work is over-retouching skin. Now, if you're a subscriber of this channel, you'll know that I've done plenty of skin retouching tutorials on here over the years. It has been one of my main tutorials that I've definitely focused on for Photoshop. But I will say, with the addition of filters on things like Instagram, TikTok, and things like that, it's definitely becoming even more widespread, this really over-retouching of skin. And I feel like maybe it's because I'm a photographer and a retoucher that I notice it immediately when I see an image. But I do think in the commercial realm of things, if you are looking at getting into doing photography as a business, over-retouching skin is one of the big no-nos at the moment. And I'm going to explain why. So for a start, there has been a really big movement, and rightly so, towards a more natural looking skin, especially when it comes to fashion and beauty photography. This has definitely been my realm in the last number of years, and I've experienced this firsthand. Clients do not want to see overly retouched skin. They don't even want to see like medium to heavy retouched skin, to be honest. They do, for the most part, want a natural approach to the retouching. So that's really one of the reasons that I would say to steer away from doing too much retouching to the skin in your portraits. I think more and more people these days are becoming aware of filters and becoming aware of what very retouched skin looks like. So it's not something that you can kind of get away with anymore. I think there's a lot of people over the years that have done it with the expectation that the everyday person doesn't really understand when something is over retouched, or won't know when it's over retouched anyway. But I would say that most people these days do know when they see overly retouched skin, and quite often it's a sore point for a lot of people. Also, if we're being honest here, it does lower the quality of your work, it lowers the integrity of the work, and overall it's just not a good thing to do, relating to those reasons I just spoke about. So in terms of correcting this, if you find that you are over retouching skin quite a lot in your own work and you want to avoid doing it in future, let's talk about a few tips that you can avoid having this kind of filter style effect and any retouching that looks too blurry across the skin tone or anything like that. We're going to try and avoid that, and here's some tips to do so. So number one is to use some methods like frequency separation and dodge and burn for your skin retouching. I've talked about these a lot on my channel before. They are professional methods of skin retouching for portraits, and they really do work. They help keep the texture, integrity, and quality of the image intact, and they really are an industry standard when it comes to skin retouching. However, I will say to use these methods still with caution, because it can be quite easy to overuse these methods and you end up in the same place where you have overly retouched skin. So I actually have some other tips that relate to this, more so about taking breaks when you're retouching. This is really one of the best ways to avoid over retouching skin, is if you have a break from retouching an image, you go away, you come back to it with fresh eyes, and then immediately you'll be able to tell if something's kind of off. This is one of the main methods I like to actually use when I'm trying to avoid doing any over retouching of skin. I always come back to my images later on. I never just kind of edit start to finish in one sitting. I will come back to it later on, see if I've made any adjustments that have gone too far, and then I'll just kind of adjust them back to being a little bit more natural. So in saying this is very common to see over retouched skin, and I don't actually blame anyone for doing this, because I quite often have found in speaking to other people and from my own personal experience that in studying and in doing college degrees and studying courses, quite often they do not teach you these things in those courses about Photoshop and skin retouching. They just don't teach you how to kind of have that natural effect. They barely even tell you kind of how to retouch skin or clean up an image. So really, I don't think that there's a lot of education around it, and I think this is why some people just don't really know how to approach the skin retouching. So I definitely don't blame anyone for anyone that feels that they do a bit of over retouching with their skin tones in Photoshop. It does happen very regularly to the best of us. But I hope this video has pointed out something today that maybe you'll become a little bit more aware of if you're looking through images and you're seeing that something's a bit off. off. Over-retouching of skin is very common, and if you're finding that you're doing it yourself, hopefully just a couple of tips I've mentioned today will help you. But if not, I've got plenty of retouching tutorials on my YouTube channel, and I've also got a couple of retouching courses that you can go and check out in the description box below if you want. So guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this one, talking about some do's and don'ts with photography, even though like I said, I'm not a huge believer in do's and don'ts specifically for photography. I think there's a lot of room for experimentation, but if you want to hear more about maybe what clients are looking for these days, let me know in the comments section below, and I'd love to do more videos on that. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!